Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's Council at Large Forum. Today is May 4th. Let me begin by apologizing firsthand for our delay in starting. It is due to no fault of the candidates. We are having some technical difficulties, and as a result, this will not be streamed live to YouTube at this moment. It is our hopes that the wonderful technicians of the City of Paterson will get that up and running very soon. And once it's up and running, it will be streamed live to YouTube at the point in which we are in this conversation. Also, at the end, it will be uploaded to YouTube. So for those of you who join us on YouTube later and you may have missed the beginning of this conversation, you will be able to catch up at that time. We do apologize on behalf of the City Council and the City of Paterson for this inconvenience, but we are happy that those of you who are able to join us on the television networks can do so at this time. So again, welcome to the Council at Large Candidates Forum. I'd like to welcome you to the People's House, the third floor of the City Hall of the City of Paterson. This Council at Large Forum is being sponsored by the Municipal Council. And I would just like to go over a few of the guidelines for this conversation. Each candidate will have an opportunity to provide opening remarks in alphabetical order. Each candidate will present a 3-minute opening statement during that time. Candidates will then be allowed to ask each of the other candidates 2 questions. The candidates will have 3 minutes to respond to the questions asked of them. If a candidate chooses not to ask a candidate questions, I do have a series of questions that were provided by the local media, which I will then pose to that particular candidate. Closing remarks will be made in reverse alphabetical order. Candidates will have 2 minutes for closing remarks. So, why don't we begin this, what I know to be a very enlightening, informative, and fruitful conversation. We have a host of candidates that have a real interest in serving the people of Paterson, so I don't know about you, but I'm truly interested into what they have to share with us this afternoon. So beginning with his opening remarks, candidate Jesus Abreu. Jace?
It's all right.
My apologies. Please attribute it to the mind and not the heart.
Thank you very much, Councilman. Good afternoon, Paterson. As you heard, my name is Jay Abreu, a resident of the City of Paterson for 30 years, a concerned resident with everything going on in our city. A kid that came from the Dominican Republic at the age of 10 years old, grew up in the City of Paterson, never known another house, another home. There's never been another home for myself. Grew up in recreation. 3 days after I came from the Dominican Republic, I started playing baseball, something that we have lost here, not only baseball, meaning recreation. And the great thing when I first came to this, it was the recreation. It was everything free. My parents didn't have to pay anything for our recreation, and we have lost that. As you heard, I'm a very concerned resident. It's the reason why I decided to run for this seat, because I want to see a change. We all know everything that the city is going through, and everybody's crying for a change. I think it's the time to do it. It's the time to send a message. Our city is not moving forward; it's moving backwards. And I'm not here to point fingers. I'm just here to say, I'm here to tell you, Paterson, that we need, in a fast manner, to make a change to start moving our city forward. Let me tell you a little bit why. Let me go a little deeper why I decided to run. You know, as you all know, our city crime has taken over our city, and there's a desperate need that we have to work on crime, and nobody's paying attention to that. I mean, every day we having 3, 4, 5 killings, and there's some that we don't even know about it. Paterson, we need to come back. We need to bring our city back. Our city is not in great position like they were saying. We need to bring our city back. So please, Paterson, do your homework. Make sure to elect the right person, because if not, we are in a deeper problem. Thank you. My name is Jace Abreu, 3B on the ballot.
Thank you, Jace. Next, we'll move on to the next candidate to provide her opening remarks, Melissa Barra.
Thank you, Councilman. And thank you, City of Paterson, for having us. For me, it is an honor to live in the city where I serve, raise my children, and work. This has been a wonderful journey for me. I'd like to say that I'm a community scholar and activist, and I've been doing so in such capacity for at least over a decade. It's with honor that I want to tell the City of Paterson I am a professional in higher education. I've been in higher education for over 15 years. And in the city capacity, I serve as head of the ABC board. I also serve as part of the Healthcare Advisory Committee board, and I serve as aide to the chair of finance, Councilman Flavio Rivera. And it has been an honor to really learn the intricacies of the cities in terms of municipality budgeting and in terms of what is going on and how we can alleviate things and really remediate a certain detail that can make the city better for all the residents. Personally, I have a bachelor's in biology, a master's in molecular biology, and a doctorate degree in molecular pathology and immunology. And it is with great presence that I am proud to say that, you know, my father, who is a lifelong resident as well, and my mother have worked tirelessly to put me through education and really teach me the value of being educated. And I plan to do the same for all of the young people in our city by leading by example. And not only with university education, but really staying focused and consistent. I'm running on the Consistency Matters tickets because I believe it's not about just showing up during election time, but rather being consistent in everything we do and remaining in the public eye. My involvement in the community began early on but I decided to run for office in 2018 for the school board. And it was a great experience. And even though we fell short, I felt tall because the city really embraced me and really adapted to what I had to offer. And it was an opportunity for me to show you, the residents, who I am and how I am willing to work with all, no matter what ward they live in and no matter where they are in the stages of their life. I plan to really continue work just as I have. I've been working with the community as advisory member to the Financial Empowerment Centers of Paterson, also as a member of the FTI group and a member of many other boards that directly service young students and residents, seniors as well, to get the services they needed or the services they need in order to really be successful and have the best outcomes and really look at and take pride in the city that we live in and all love. My name is Dr. Melissa Barra, 8B on your ballot. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. Next, ladies and gentlemen, to provide his opening remarks is Mr. Gilman Chowdhury.
Thank you, Councilman Morris. Paterson, my name is Gilman Chowdhury. I'm 7B on the ballot. To give you a quick, brief history of myself, I was born in Bangladesh, came here as an immigrant when I was 7 months old, so basically a baby with diapers on, and I lived in the 4th Ward for the first 13 years of my life. From there, I moved to the 2nd Ward, where I currently reside, and I had an opportunity not only to meet a breadth of people and individuals throughout my life that have shaped me who I am, but also a unique opportunity to see how the world really works. I went to John F. Kennedy High School, then Montclair State University, then I enlisted into the United States Army Reserve. I received my honorable discharge in 2016. And in between there, I went back to grad school at Montclair State University, completing 2 graduate certificates. And currently, I go to William Paterson University, studying for my MBA. Part of me lives in this city, and part of me also understands that in order for us to grow as a community, to grow economically and socially, sacrifices must be made. The families that are right now watching this are looking at their budgets from their household, are looking at the decisions for their future, for their children. And every step of the way, I myself make those same decisions in my household. As an administrator for Paterson Public Schools, I work directly hand in hand to ensure that the quality of education for our children is effective. As a former member of the United States Army, I understand discipline and service and understand that we have to do better for everyone, for ourselves. And I also understand the merit and focus we need to do to ensure that the city is not only right-sized, but prepared to meet the expectations of our residents and taxpayers. Throughout my history, I can tell you of all the accomplishments and all the mistakes that I've made. But at this very moment, I'm here to tell you that as a resident of this city, as an example of who you are, I'm here for you, for the public. And what I represent along with this slate of Consistency Matters is the fact that we're here to ensure that the taxpayer receives a fair and arguably the honest level of government that they deserve. And I'm also here to ensure that no matter where you come from, no matter what expectation you have, we give you the service that you deserve because of the dignity that you need. The entire city of Paterson is waiting for all of us to make the right decision, and you, the voter, will help shape the future. And you're not making the decision just for yourselves. You're making the decision for your children, for your children's children. And thus, the torch is once again given to another generation of voters to determine what the actual future of the city will be. Choose wisely, choose privately if necessary, but pick Consistency Matters. Again, my name is Gilman Chaudhry, 7B.
Thank you, Gilman. Next, to provide her opening remarks, current Council President, Maritza Davila.
Thank you so much, Councilman Morris, and to everyone here and to the community watching. It's unfortunate that we're not being streamed at the moment, but hopefully that'll get up and going for those that are just tuning in to the TV. My name is Maritza Davila. I am your current sitting council president. I've been elected by the people of Paterson my first term in 2014. And in 2018, I was reelected to position. And I am looking to continue working for the next term as running for a third term on the council. For those, and I was thinking about what I was gonna say, and for those that probably are new voters, I'm gonna start off by saying, if you don't know who I am, I'm born and raised in the city of Paterson. I've been here for over 50 years. I'm a mother of 1. I've been working in higher education now as an administrator for 31 years. Currently, I am the coordinator of admissions and financial aid services and a designated school official in the Passaic Academic Center. I worked for PCC out of the 31 years of career, almost 30. And throughout my work there is where I can say, not is where the love of civic duty began, but I have to say that's where it was strengthened. I started working there at 22, and is when I started working with all communities and working throughout the entire county, but obviously Paterson being my first love. Throughout the years I started there was 2,300 students. Today we have over 12,000 students. Once again, I will reiterate, working with all communities. I'm running on a Consistency Matters ticket, and the reason for that is that it is important that on this council, you are able to have not yes people, but like-minded shared visions. And I decided that throughout my work, I've been very consistent with my yes being yes and my no being no. I'm 6B on the ballot, and if you like lottery, anybody that likes playing lottery, you know you have to be in it to win it. So hopefully you will go out and pick 6.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Next to provide her opening remarks is Sonia Delis.
Good afternoon, everyone. First and foremost, I would like to thank the city clerk and former Councilman Morrison, our current moderator today, for putting this forum in place, and the residents of Paterson for signing my petitions while allowing me to be here today. I also would like to thank the Lord and my husband for always standing by me. My name is Sonia Delis, and I am 9B on your ballot. I was born and raised in the city of Paterson. I'm a business owner in Paterson for many years now. I have also been a property owner since the late 90s and early 2000s. Therefore, I can relate to the tax beating that we homeowners have been encountering. I currently own and live in a one-family home in the Paterson 2nd Ward. I have a degree in humanities. I am also a business intelligence manager at a sales and marketing company for 17 years now. I do have the privilege of working from home for almost 8 years now. I specialize in analytics and budgets. During my adult years, I have accomplished many great obstacles while raising my children in Paterson and watching my grandchildren grow in our great city. While my grandchildren have been involved in sports in Paterson and our parks have been updated to meet some of our sports needs, unfortunately, some of our parks have been very well unattained. Nonetheless, some of our parks are a little somewhat filthy, and we even have homeless people sleeping in our parks. I actually drove by a park today this morning on my way here, and there was like a little cape and people sleeping in our parks, which is unacceptable. We have invested a lot of money in the parks, and they need to be maintained in a way where our children are safe to play there anytime, any day of the year. Let me discuss some of my platforms since we don't have much time. My focus is to work for a better police presence. Obviously, you don't have to be a politician to see, and it's not a secret to know that our city and our streets are not safe. Our city has been deteriorating. No faults to anyone, but it has been deteriorating, so we need to work better. Let's not forget that we must work on mental awareness because it does exist. Finally, I will support and work closely with the administration to improve the issues within our city. My name is Sonia Delis, and I am 9B in your ballot.
Thank you, Ms. Delis.
You're very welcome.
So now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move to our first round of questioning. As we begin to move into that session, let me just remind you that there is early voting in the city of Paterson on Municipal Election Day, May 10th. Early voting will start on Friday, May 6th, and end on Sunday, May 8th. For Friday and Saturday, the times will be from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. For Sunday, it will be from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. There are 2 early voting locations in the city. One is located at 300 McBride Avenue, and that is the Paterson Firehouse. The other is at 152 Durham Avenue, and that is the Islamic Center of Passaic County. We encourage you to take advantage of early voting if you can. And today we are privileged to be hearing from 5 of the 10 candidates for the Council at Large position. We have Jace Abiru, the candidate for change. He's ballot position 3B. We have Melissa Barat, Consistency Matters, ballot position 8B. We also have joining us Mr. Gilman Chowdhury, again, Consistency Matters, ballot position 7B. We also have Councilwoman Maritza Davila, Consistency Matters, again, ballot position 6B. And we also have Sonia Delis, your voice for a positive change, ballot position 9B. Jace, I will turn it over to you at this time.
Thank you again, Councilman. All right, my first question, Council President. Marisa Davila. If re-elected, what would you do different from what you have done to stop the crimes, bring back our recreation, and alleviate our residents from tax increase?
Okay. So I would be consistent with what I'm already doing as the sitting councilwoman and working as I have been and chairing the Public Safety Committee and working closely with the administration. There's been quite some recommendations from the committee. For everyone that knows, I'm very big on public safety. I have weekly meetings with the police director, with the chief or deputy chiefs, whoever is assigned. But I will say this, I believe, and one of the things that I plan to do is to continue to work and press on the fact that we need to change the leadership in the police department. That is no disrespect to anyone, but I believe that this city needs someone with a stronger hand. And right now, I don't think that we have that. It is to no surprise to anyone in the city. We had a young lady come yesterday to cry before us, complaining about what occurred to her daughter and no police response. And that's one of the biggest things to me that I plan on, is working on making sure that we increase, or if, because some people will say we have to decrease the response because we don't want police, right, to come out because that means that there's something going on, but the reality is that we have to do a better job. So in terms of you indicating something about tax increases, not exactly sure if you understand that there is or has not been any municipal tax increase in the city of Paterson. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Jace, you could ask a follow-up question to the councilwoman, or you can choose to move on to another candidate.
No, moving. Mr. Gilman? No disrespect, you know, I respect you a lot. Very nice man. I know you for a couple of years. But since you served in the second ward as a councilman, and as you heard me ask Council President about tax increase, you have voted yes on tax increase. So my question to you as well, it's what would you do different, and or what would your answer be again if you're elected and they ask you again for tax increase?
Mr. Chowdhury, before you respond, Jace, you have that booming baritone voice, so if you just want to move back from the mic just a little. Okay.
Well, good to go? Excellent. So thank you for the question, Mr. Brew. I do apologize. I believe you're technically incorrect. While I was on the council, there was no tax increase. And you can check my voting record. That you can see that we had a 0 increase in taxes for the municipal part. So, you know, I do apologize, but I believe you're incorrect about that portion. So had I had an opportunity to do it again, I would vote the same way because there was a 0 tax increases on the municipality bill. Thank you.
Jace, you have an opportunity now to ask a question on one of the other candidates. You could ask a follow-up question to Mr. Chowdhury.
We have no other questions. But as I was told, and we know, tax increase where you were one of the one of the councilmen did. But anyway, I have no more question. That was all my question. Thank you for the answer.
You're absolutely welcome. Thank you.
So if I understand you correctly, you don't have a question for any of the other candidates?
No more question. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Abreu. So therefore, for Ms. DeLise and Ms. Barat, I will pose a question from the press. So ladies and gentlemen, I think I just need to clarify, not only for the viewing audience, but also some of the candidates at all. We recognize that many candidates, invest a lot of time and work in pursuing, careers and educations and things of that nature. But for the purpose of this forum, we don't list titles or anything like that. We don't want to unduly bias anyone's opinion that could be led astray by particular titles and stuff like that. So if I don't mention a title or degree that you have earned. It is not meant to be indelicate or disrespectful, but just truly following the procedures of the forum. So again, these questions are from the local media at this time. And I will start with Ms. DeLeese. Ms. DeLeese, this question actually comes from Joe Melanconico of the Paterson Press. The Say administration has made the Great Falls the centerpiece of its economic development plans. Do you agree with that strategy? Why or why not?
I do believe with the strategy. I mean, I think the Great Falls is a great asset for Paterson. Obviously, the Great Falls is somewhere where everybody would like to come to Paterson to experience, just like when you go to Canada, Niagara Falls. You know, Paterson is very well known not only for its historic areas, but also for the Great Falls. So to me, I'm big on making sure that we improve not only the Great Falls, but the Great Falls area in general. Thank you. Thank you for the question.
Thank you, Ms. DeLeese. Ms. Barat, am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay, great, thank you. Again, from the Paterson Press. As a council aide, you have sat on the Finance Committee meetings. Has Paterson been using its federal COVID relief funds wisely?
Thank you for the question. So it has been a privilege to be an aide to the Financial Committee Chair, Councilman Flavia Rivera, and I've learned about the ARP dollars and how we've been allocating them. There was an estimated $63 million that were awarded to Paterson, and there is a plan in place to allocate those funds. And I can personally say that I have had the experience of watching the Financial Committee Chair really help to allocate better ideals for how that money should be spent, like the infrastructure and the restructuring of our roads, and having a mind centered around the importance of recreation, and having a mind centered in the importance of other things that will help our city progress. You know, the pandemic happened. No one was expecting the pandemic to happen. It happened. We were awarded this municipal money, and so through the disadvantage that was the pandemic, there was a municipal and financial advantage in that we were awarded these funds to really, really look and help restructure how people were affected, even if it's through small business and helping the small business loans and doing things to help alleviate the burden on the taxpayer and the residents in Paterson in general. So I am in full agreement with the way the money was decided in terms of what left the Financial Committee. So as many of you know, the terms leave Financial Committee, and then it's up to the administration to actually fully carry out how the plan is to be executed. So in terms of what was planned out in committee, I was aware of how we decided to decipher the funds, and being the aide to the chair, it was enlightening to see how we could do better for all the residents in Paterson. Thank you for the question.
Thank you. At this time, Ms. Barata, it's your opportunity to ask questions of the other candidates. If you wouldn't mind taking a seat. Again, ladies and gentlemen, as a reminder, the candidates have an opportunity to ask each candidate up to 2 questions, and the candidates will have 3 minutes in which to respond. If the candidate chooses not to ask a question of a particular candidate, I will then pose a question to that candidate that has been provided by the local press. Ms. Barat, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Welcome to all of you, and I want to say personally, thank you for showing up and being here. I think it's important for the residents to know that we are all vested in this election. My first question is for Sonia DeLeese, Ms. Sonia DeLeese. So in looking at your platform, you said that you wanted to repeal the sewer bill. And I wanted to know, how would that affect the budget, and how would you go about making that possible? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. We all know that the budget entails of 10 brackets. In other words, the budget has 10 components, okay? And within those 10 components, we all know that we have miscellaneous. A budget has to be revised. A budget has to be, okay, I'll take the word back, not revised. A budget has to be revisited is the word. Whereas we have miscellaneous, we have a lot of budgets in there that are over-indexed within the budget. So to me, if we repeal the sewer bill, we can work with the budget in repelling the sewer bill, because our budget right now is not as structured as it should be. I mean, I am not specialized in the budget from the City Hall, but I work with budgets, and I know that if I sit with the budget from City Hall and I speak to the administration and we come together as a whole, because I know it's as a whole, it's not a me thing, we can make changes. Anything is possible with the budget. That's all.
Ms. Barat, you have an opportunity to ask a follow-up question of Mr. Lease, or you can move on to another candidate.
I would like to move on if possible. I want to ask my running mate, Gilman Chaudhry, a question. So, Gilman, how has your experience in the district helped you to mold you into what some in Paterson would consider the ideal councilperson?
Thank you, Dr. Melissa. First off, Paterson, before I go directly to answer that question, I think it's important for me to explain a little bit why education, why human infrastructure, why our development into the child is important. We know that at one point all of us were kids. We know that what we pour into our children will determine the future of the city. As an educator, as an administrator for Paterson Public Schools, I've had the unique opportunity to not only speak to parents and hear their concerns, but speak to children and see what exactly they want for their future. We know we have a brain drain situation where many of our best and brightest are leaving the city because of lack of economic opportunity, lack of access. As an administrator for Paterson Public Schools, what I've been able to do in my own terms and in my own realm was facilitate opportunities for not only the child, but for families. And many of our households here, especially our immigrant households, we have a syndrome that is called the third parent syndrome, where children are used to translate for their parents for doctor appointments, letters, because their parents may not have the ability to speak English. So we know exactly that that is the dynamic that's happening in many of our households. And that is a encouraging, strengthening opportunity for us to say that that child is taking the responsibility of an adult. But at the same token, that child has the right to be a child. So within my realm at the school district, we do whatever we can to serve the families, because we understand beyond budgets, beyond ordinances and rules, there's families that are trying to do good. There's families that are trying to do right. And we have an opportunity as not only a legislative council, but as a whole system working collaboratively with the mayor's office, with the school district, to ensure that every child, every family, every mom and dad, and every child that has yet to be born has the opportunity to be successful. And as an administrator, and as hopefully you're a councilman for council at large, along with my slate Consistency Matters, we will do whatever necessary, whatever it takes to ensure that every child has that opportunity. Oh, I apologize, I thought that was the bell. As I was stating before, it is up to us to make sure that the right decision is made, including in that ballot box. It's up to us to ensure that the person that you're putting behind this seat has your best interests. Working in the school district, we understand that it's not only just ABCs and 1, 2, 3s, but it's the human element, the individual. And I pledge that should I receive the honor to be your council at large, should I have the opportunity to be in this seat, I will do everything I can to ensure that the family is served with dignity and respect. Thank you, Dr. Melissa.
You're most welcome.
Ms. Barat, you have an opportunity to ask a follow-up question of Mr. Chaudhry, or move on to another candidate.
I would like to move on to another candidate. So I would like to ask this, if possible, Councilman Morris, I can ask one question to everyone, is that correct?
You can,
The
but
same
just
question?
make sure you address it to the person so that they answer in the order in which you want to hear the response.
Okay. So I would like to ask, you know what, I'll just ask it to Councilwoman Maritza Davila, my running mate on the ticket. Councilwoman, name a time where you worked to get an ordinance passed that was controversial. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question. You know, I have been here for quite a few years. I actually served with the moderator, so there's been quite some interesting ordinances. And I would have to say with the most recent, I would have to say was the premium pay. And the reason I say the premium pay is because the council had concerns, but also the constituents. And so it's difficult to be able to maneuver both. And in order for me to be able to have the buy-in, you know, there was quite a selected few council members that did not agree with premium pay. And so to be able to speak to each council member and understand, so it wasn't that they weren't supportive of those individuals who put their lives at risk during the pandemic, it was that they felt that that monies could have gone to other interests within the city. And so to answer that question, I would say that that was a difficult one, but with the grace of the Almighty, I was able to have the conversations, and with that, be able to collaborate with my other colleagues who also had the like minds to be able to be sponsors of the ordinance to put it forth. And with that, we were able then to do it a second time around when we saw, and I have to tell you, I went at it with the administration when I saw that I felt, and some of my colleagues, that the amount that was being given to individuals was not sufficient. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Ms. Barat, do you have a question for any of the other candidates?
Yes, I do. I have a question for Jace Avril. Jace, what are 3 qualities that you feel every council person should have?
Thank you for the question, Doctor. Well, what we want and what we need in the city is person or a council person to come to serve the city, have a great heart, believe in God, and come to do the job that the city deserve. You know, because we get a lot of people that come here and they don't legislate for the city. They legislate for somebody else. And I think that, you know, it shouldn't be happening anymore. So, good heart for the city, heart for the people. Believe in God, as a man of God myself, a Christian, and just come work for the city. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Ms. Barat, you do have an opportunity to ask a follow-up question of any of the other candidates.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you.
So much, Councilman.
Next, we'll ask Mr. Gilman Chowdhury. You'll have an opportunity to ask your questions at this time. Ladies and gentlemen, again, I want to extend my apologies and the apologies of the Municipal Council for the delay in going live on YouTube. My understanding is they're still trying to work through some of the technical challenges, but the moment they have those resolved, we will be sure to upload this video to YouTube. Thank you. Mr. Chowdhury.
Thank you, Councilman Morris. For my first question, I would like to ask Mr. Abreu. Mr. Abreu, Are you able to tell me the difference between an ordinance and a resolution, please?
Thank you for the question. Yeah. Question is ordinance and resolution.
Yes, sir, the difference between an ordinance and a resolution.
Right. So the ordinance, right? We spoke on Sunday, Council President, and we had a talk, well, not us, we were in a forum, and she talked about it. She said that is it different when you come with an ordinance, or what's the other one? Ordinance and
Resolution.
the resolution. So I said that, you know, we have to enforce. So she said, in order to enforce, well, you can't enforce, but if you're gonna come and bring a law or change the law, you're gonna come and you're gonna, it's a not a resolution. What's the other one again? I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. It's resolution.
Resolution and ordinance. So it's an ordinance. When you come with a resolution, is, you know, come with a resolution for the city. You know, when you bring something to be resolved for the city. Thank you.
Mr. Chowdhury, you have an opportunity to ask a follow-up question to Mr. Abreu or move on to another candidate.
Yes, I'm going to move on to another candidate, to Dr. Melissa. What makes you qualified to be on the Municipal Council?
Thank you for the question, Gilman. You know, I think that we need to focus on strengths and really bring our strengths together in order to fortify our city. I think that my experience working in the community, in all facets of the community, whether it's educating young people, whether it's directing residents to the Financial Empowerment Center, whether it's helping residents with academic and career advancement and planning, has allowed me the opportunity to really put my foot forward in the community and lead with a sound mind and really look at the necessities of individuals that are residents and call Paterson home. I think in order to be an effective councilwoman, you have to have temperance, you have to be tolerant, and you really have to have a love and an overall respect for all people. I think that my experience in higher education has definitely prepared me for that. It is with pride that I have been there for 13 years at Berkeley College and Montclair State University. And in that realm, I have directly been influencing students that have left the Paterson system and then looked for opportunities in higher education. As a developer of curriculum, it is also another strength which I possess, where I've been able to develop individualized structure to help one and all. And developing curriculum is such an important necessity because in our city, I feel that there is a need to educate the residents and to really let them know about process and how things are occurring so that they can make informed decisions based on their information and their knowledge. And so it is with pride that, you know, I stand here before you as a woman who has, you know, succeeded in the endeavors of higher education and also in my work in the community. And that has been such a rewarding experience. And I just want to say thank you to Paterson for allowing me and giving me the opportunity to serve and really be involved in all of these facets. And I look forward to do so on this council. Dr. Melissa Barral, 8B on your ballot.
Thank you. Before you continue, Mr. Chowdhury, I just wanted to let everyone know that the YouTube is now up and running. So we are going out live. And for the public who is just joining us, we apologize that you are joining us in the middle of this conversation, but we do promise to upload the full forum to YouTube for you to watch at a later time, at least to sort of see what happened in the beginning, and so you have an opportunity to hear each of the candidates' opening statements and some of the questions that you may have missed. Mr. Chowdhury, if you please continue with your questioning.
Excellent. Thank you, Councilman Morris. Council President Maritza, my question to you is, what experience do you have with working with various levels of government agencies?
Thank you very much, Gilman, for that question. As an elected, I've had the opportunity, to work with the local government, obviously as the council, on the council and working with the administration, also at our state, with our state legislators, specifically to our 35th legislative district, with our county as well, our commissioners. I think, and I've always said this, relationships matter. And the fact that, I've been working within the community for over 30 years, I've had the opportunity to meet these individuals before I was elected. So it is I'm in a better position to be able to work with the different entities. I'm gonna actually have to say that one of the best that I could say is working with our state legislators, but specific to DCA. To be able to sit down, and understand what governance is all about, and understand that sometimes we currently, we receive transitional aid, and through DCA, we have monitors here. And, individuals don't understand, we just cannot just say, let's cut this, let's cut that from the budget, when we're receiving, X amount of transitional aid in our city. And so to be able to sit down with DCA, with our monitor, to discuss, where we're going with our city, and then being able to come back and sit down with my colleagues, has been, very great and beneficial. And I always say this, and it's funny, I always say this to the DCA monitor: relationships matter. And so, with that said, it's been experience, and these last 4 years, in my second term, 3 out of the 4, my council colleagues have elected me to be council president. And the reason for that is because of my consistency and because of my relationships. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you, Council President. For my next question, there's been multiple talks regarding the budget, what it can do, what it cannot do, between all 10 candidates. To Ms. Delez, my question is this: what is the difference between a tax rate and a tax levy?
Well, thank you for the question, Gilman. Tax rate is the rate that we pay for the taxes. And a tax levy is the flat fee that we pay for the taxes. Somewhat. That's it.
Mr.
Excellent.
Chowdhury, do you have a follow-up question for Ms. DeLees or any of the other candidates?
Oh, no, I would like to go to question number 2 for the group.
Absolutely. Please do so,
Excellent.
sir.
And I will start back at Mr. Brew. Mr. Brew, can you tell me what is the DCA and its functions in regards to the municipality of Paterson?
Not sure it was the DCA, I'm not gonna lie. But I'm pretty sure, that we all, as a council, as part of the council, we have to learn that and more stuff that we have to learn. But we are here, of course, we have to know, you have to know what you're getting into. And we also have to know that we're getting into a big problem, which is the city out there, We have to serve our city. And yes, this technical question, and I understand, and I know where it comes from, because they know me, because they know my heart, and they know that the heart that I have is to serve and to do what's right for our city. But thank you for the question.
Mr. Chowdhury, you can continue.
Excellent. My next question is to Dr. Melissa. What relevant experience do you have in the community?
Thank you for that question. I'm really proud of my trajectory in the community. It all started working as a mom, where I'm a mother of 2 that currently attend PCSST, and I formed groups with all of those parents, and we've shielded our children and really formed community advancement programs where we actually go out into the community and do different works so that Paterson children can experience recreation and other things outside of our community. I call them the Beehive, and I'm really proud of them. And I've also worked with the FTI program, which I give all hail to my FTI family. We actually have a shared services agreement where we actually go out into different facets of the community, and we work in career advancement, career development. We also work in mental health, because we understand that mental health is such a top priority for all residents in Paterson. And as a professor teaching psychology of adjustment, I understand firsthand the negative impact of not addressing mental health issues. So it's a real top concern and top priority for me. As part of the Human Health Services and actually the health department here, I'm proud to say that, I've been involved in the endeavors where, we made decisions, and I've been in the room where we've made decisions to really help Paterson residents overcome these issues with the pandemic. And I always refer to that video in March where I was fortunate to sit with the 2 council people and really give people information in their language, in their native tongue, about the impact of the COVID and how we were gonna all be affected literally before the shutdown, and I'm proud of that. So just being out there and really looking at the need and not waiting for the problem to happen. Everybody knows there's problems here, we can list them, but really injecting yourself into the problem so that you can be part of a solution and really look for critical thinking measures that can change outcomes for all residents in the positive, of course. I'm a proud Paterson person, I'm a proud Paterson mom, and I look forward to serving as a proud councilwoman. Dr. Melissa Braw, AP on your ballot.
Thank you, Dr. Melissa. Council President, what ordinance that you have sponsored are you most proud of?
Well, I know, I talked about that premium pay, that over 1,300 people were able to get some monies. But I would have to take it back to 2015. My first term as chair of the Health and Human Services Committee, assigned by the then, I believe, Councilman Morris was the president. I was put, actually, no, in 2015, I believe it was Tavares. Tavares? No, Morris. Anyway, that doesn't matter. In 2015, I had the opportunity to have a sit-down in a committee with the then executive director of New Jersey Working Families. And there were various cities that she was working with for the city to adopt an ordinance for the family sick leave, where these are individuals, and which, by the way, 23,000 Patersonians, okay, we're going to benefit from this, us taking this action as a council. And it gave me great pleasure that I met this executive director, who now, by the way, works under the Biden administration, and that I had the opportunity to understand what was going on in our city with individuals who were working part-time and do not have insurance, or who don't have paid sick time, vacation time. And this ordinance was able to assist them with now having worked X amount of hours, they will be able within a year to get 5 days paid. And so, I have to say that is one of it, when I think about it, and some people say, why don't you talk about that a lot? Some people don't want to hear, what you've done X amount of years, but it matters. And so I would have to say that by far, that has been one of the best ordinances that I was able to sponsor and bring forth as the Health and Human Services Committee Chair.
Excellent. Thank you, Council President. And for my last question, Ms. Delez, infrastructure has been really part of our platform altogether. So my question is, what is and how can a capital improvement plan help the city meet realistic goals?
Councilman Chibouty, thank you for your question, but I have to decline answering your question because I am very disappointed in the way the Consistency Matters team run their little forum, with all due respect. It doesn't take a politician, and it doesn't take us city residents to see or know that it's not a secret that our city is in need of help, not humiliations, okay, and not bringing down anybody, okay? I will refuse to ask anybody questions here because I am nobody to ask anybody questions. That's just my opinion, and I respect yours, okay? But with that being said, I have no answer for you. Thank you.
May I rebuttal?
You've already had
I did.
opportunities to ask 2 questions. You can form your 2 questions anywhere you so choose, as a question, as a statement, or an opportunity to rebut. But since you've already exhausted your opportunities, we're gonna have to move on, Mr. Joshua.
Oh, I understand. Well, I appreciate Council Morris. Understanding the basic function of government is the people's business, and it's important. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we will invite Council President Maritza Davila to ask her questions of the various candidates. As Councilwoman Davila has taken her seat, just as a reminder, each candidate does have an opportunity to ask 2 questions of their colleagues. Their colleagues then have an opportunity to respond to those questions, and they have 3 minutes to respond. I do not evaluate and or judge the questions that are being asked. It is totally at the discretion of the candidates. You can use your 2 minutes in any way you so choose, in the form of a question, in the form of a statement, or you can reserve your second question as an opportunity to rebut.
Thank you so much once again, and to everyone. I think it's really important that we understand, and when individuals may feel offended with questions that are being asked, and someone that's been sitting in the role does have an advantage. If I am going to apply for a job, I have to make sure that I understand what the position entails. And with that, there are certain questions that are pivotal and very important. So I know you made the statement before, and by any means, I don't want you to think that someone like my person, who has been sitting here for 8 years, would not ask a question, because I am running for re-election, and I want those individuals, I want like-minded. So with that said, I'm going to ask a question, and I'm going to start with Mr. Jace Abreu. So again, as I stated, you're applying for a job. You want to know what that job entails. So taxes are really important, right? So I want to ask you, can you name all the components of the tax bill, and which ones are under the control of and the responsibility of the municipal council?
Sorry, thank you for your answer, but I would do the same thing as Sonia did. We will answer your questions. If you was to ask every single one was question, technical questions, I know what you guys doing. I know where it comes from, but all these technical questions, you just going. It's like it seems that you're attacking. You're attacking us because we're not in your team, and then you're going to go ahead and ask their live question, or how, what you've done, or what was the most important resolution that you've passed. It's not what we're here. I think that we should talk about what the city needs. We should talk about what's happening out in the city, and that should be the question you should be asking. And if you're going to ask a question like that, I believe you should ask every single one of us. I decline every question you ask myself, Council President. Thank you.
Sorry that you feel that way. Truly, I am, because once again, you're applying for a job and you're going to represent the people. And there are basic things that you need to know. So,
Councilwoman, do you choose to ask Mr. Abreu a follow-up question or move on to another candidate?
I'm going to move on to the next person. I'm going to ask this question to Mr. Chaudhry. As a councilman, how would you enrich the educational opportunities for our youth?
Thank you, Council President. I'm gonna take this opportunity to actually just do a gentle rebuttal. The question is absolutely important, but it's also important for the public to understand you are selecting individuals that will lead you, that will make decisions on your behalf. And that means that you may not have to like them, but they have to be credible in their job. If I go to a doctor, I'm not asking the doctor, what sports teams do you like, or if we go out to the same bar. I'm asking that doctor, are they credible? Are they proficient in their task? These technical questions, as is proposed by our opponents, is not really technical questions. These are the basic bread and butter of running a municipal government. Now, if the public, and I believe the public deserves the answers, if the public is not getting those answers, are those the individuals you want leading you? Now, I believe Ms. Delez and Mr. Abreu are God-fearing, good, honest people. I much appreciate them and care for them. But if I love someone, that doesn't always mean that they're the right person for the job. And if I like someone, it doesn't also mean that they're good for a particular opportunity. The city of Paterson is not asking for friends to lead them. The city of Paterson is asking for individuals that have the professional knowledge to make the right decision, not based on popularity, but based on what is needed for the city of Paterson. I am greatly upset that the public here is not being served because these answers are crucial for us to make the best decision possible. The tax bills you pay, the fees, the calls to our public safety department, all those things are important, and all those things are crucial for us to make the decision. The resident isn't asking us to see, hey, who comes to the baseball game or who comes to this. They're asking to see, do we have the fiscal and sense to make the right decision? And that may not be all sexy and neat because it's reading textbooks, it's learning ordinances, resolutions. But understanding the difference between an ordinance and a resolution is important. And understanding what makes up our tax component bill or what a capital improvement plan is. We complain all the time that the DPW is not given the equipment necessary to be effective. A capital improvement plan will do that. We understand that not only do we have to do rules and laws for the heart, but we also have to do it for the mind and spirit. Resolutions are important. The statement that the city takes, as an example, what's happening in Ukraine. I believe universally the municipal council stands with the Ukrainian citizens. I believe that we also believe and wholeheartedly believe that the civil rights legacy of this city, including the entire country, is important. Those are what resolutions are for. Ordinances control places, persons, and things. Those that regulate those individuals and those places and things. These are not technical answers or questions. These are the important questions and important matters that the public must be served with. And I apologize if this is just hyperbole or it's unimportant, but it is important because with a budget of our size, with a city of our size, we need to make sure that you have leaders on the council that will make the right decision based on logic and reason, not based on what makes you feel good. We're not here to be your musician, your mathematician or whatnot. We're here to be your doctor, to give you the medicine you need to right-size this city. Added and sprinkled a little bit with hope, may I add. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chowdhury. Councilwoman, you have
Okay.
additional questions?
Yes, I'm going to continue with my question. So this question is going to go to Mrs. Delis. Again, understanding, as I stated before, you're applying for a job, right? So I'm going to ask you this question. You're applying to the city of Paterson, and you'd like the people to elect you. Can you please explain to me the role of a council person and its function?
Thank you for the question. A council president, council at large, I'm sorry about that.
That's all right.
They place ordinances and resolutions in the table, and they come together and approve these resolutions for the city of Paterson, for the best interest of the city of Paterson. And tagging on to that question in regards to ex-councilman or former councilman Chiburi, The city of Paterson is in need of representation. We're not saying that the representation there is bad people, or they don't belong there, or let's go ahead and have a war with them. Not at all. I'm not here to fight with anybody. I'm not here to compete with anybody. I'm here for the people, for the city of Paterson. I have a passion for Paterson. I have love for Paterson, and I feel as if we have been not only neglected as Pattersonians, but we have been overlooked. You know, our police presence, our filth in our streets, you know, people are embarrassed to live in Paterson. You know, I at one point wanted to leave Paterson, but you know what? I said, I'm gonna stay here and I'm gonna fight for my city. You know, so just coming together, to me, is more important than a war zone. You know, to me, unity is important. We need to come together regardless of where you come from, you know, your age, your ethnicity, whatever you are, we need to come together as one to bring our city forward. And that is more important to me than anything. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So, I'm
You
gonna
have
ask
one?
one
Yes.
more, correct?
Well, you actually have 2 questions. You only
No, I
asked-
know, so I'm doing my first. So
Mhm.
I'm going to ask this question to Dr. Brault. I want everyone to know I was up till wee hours, so I have little notes as I woke up in between, you know, of things that I wanted to ask, and this was not staged at all. I'm going to continue to repeat. We are applying for a job, and you need to be prepared for that job. It isn't just about having a good heart and that fire in the belly to want to serve, because I truly believe that everyone that's running has the desire to serve and has the heart. But again, we're applying for a job. So I want you, Dr. Brault, I know this question was asked and it was denied before, but I'd like to hear or put in public, can you please explain to me the difference between an ordinance and what that is and what is a resolution? Because these are the things that this is what we do, exactly what Ms. Delis just said. You know, we're passing ordinances and resolution, okay? This is important. This is our function, our role.
Okay, so an ordinance, thank you for the question, Council President. An ordinance is, you know, for the governance of what I like to say noun, person, place, or thing, right? And a resolution is something where the council comes together and collectively makes a decision in order to resolve an issue or a problem or rectify something. And I think it's important to understand the difference between the two, because it sure makes a difference in the outcomes and how it details and affects all residents in our city. So I do thank you for the question. And I just want to say that, you know, I feel privileged and honored to have been here and come here voluntarily, not only as aide, but just voluntarily every Tuesday, so that I could pick up as much information as possible and really be prepared to serve the city of Paterson. I thank you for the question.
Thank you.
You have an opportunity at this time, Councilwoman, to ask follow-up questions of any of the candidates.
Yes. Okay. So, Mr. Abreu, I need to see you because I can't see without my glasses from a distance. So I prepared a whole bunch of questions because it has to do with the job and its function. But I'm gonna pull aside from that right now, and because I want you to answer a question, I don't want you to decline the question. So you say, and you said in your statement in the beginning, that we need to bring the city back. Can you explain to me, because it's almost like we're behind, so please explain to me what you mean by that. That's not a trick question, you said it here.
Thank you for the question. See, now we're talking.
Okay.
Well, yes, and I stated again, the city is behind. We're not where we need to be. You know, we're overspending money, and we're spending money where we're not supposed to be spending money. Our city, look, how many tax increase that we have. We're drowning our people's pocket. We're making them pay taxes, high taxes, and that money does not reflect out on the street. our city, how would you say that the city is moving forward when you know crime is at a high, when number 3 in the state, maybe in the country, I don't know, it's really bad. You know, we're killing our people with with high taxes. Our streets are destroyed. Our city is dirty. You know, we have no recreation, that's another one, but where you see that our city is moving forward. I just mentioned you 5 things. There's a lot more. 5 things that makes our city moving backwards. Our city would never move forward when you have all these high crimes. You can't. And when you're killing our resident on their pockets, you know, people here work 2 or 3 jobs. Myself, 2 jobs to survive in this city. You know, there's a lot of people out there working hard for this. And then they come and your check comes in and then it goes out for high taxes. You know, we just came back from a pandemic, right? And instead of investing the money that we got into our city, we don't even know where that money's at, right? Of course, you're not going to agree with me because you're sitting in the city council, and I'm not saying it's your fault or anybody here or any other city or any other council here's fault, but if you all come together and really work for the city, you guys can really change the city. You guys can really stop this crime. You guys can really stop these high taxes. There's a way to stabilize the taxes, and you guys know that. You guys know more than all of us. All we need you guys is to put our city first. And no, our city is not looking good. Our city is not moving forward. Thank you.
Councilwoman, you may continue with your
I'm going to
questioning.
continue, but I wish you would come to the council meetings and actually see where the money is and where it's going to. So that statement is incorrect. So we're going to move on to the next question to Dr. Baral. So since Mr. Abreu could not answer, so I don't want anybody to think that these questions, I'm going to ask you to please name the components. Again, remember, community, this is our role and we have to understand. Name all the components of the tax bill and which ones are under the control and the responsibility of the council.
So, as a homeowner, everyone out there watching, when you open your bill, your taxes, and there's a list in the bill, and a lot of people don't even pay attention to the list, but it's also listed in the bill. And that's, you got your county tax, you got your schools, you have your open space, your city levy, and your library. And each one of them has a different percentage which we pay for or don't pay for in terms of how it's structured. Now, we do not have, we as a council, and I'm saying we because in general I've been sitting with the council, do not have control over the schools, right, and the schools' taxes, how that's distributed, right? We do control some other components of the tax bill, but not the school, and we actually have control of most of the municipal, I would say, functioning parts of that tax bill breakdown. But I think it's important for people, especially residents, to understand the different components, because when someone's saying, you know, the property taxes are too high, then we need to understand why they're high, what is causing it to increase, what is causing it to decrease. And most definitely, there are components within there that the residents need to be aware of, and us as a council can advocate to make better, as well as the residents. So thank you for the question.
Councilwoman, you have remaining questions?
So I'll do a follow-up to that, staying right where we are. She named the 5 components. Mr. Chaudhry, would you know the breakdown and where the biggest, I'm sorry, I have something in my face. Can you please name, let me rephrase that again. Can you give me the breakdown? Do you know the breakdown of it?
Thank you, Council President. So again, for the public, before I answer this question, it's important to remember that these components of our tax bill, these are the important functions of government to understand exactly what the components are and how it affects the individual taxpayer, the family that has to go to the grocery store and buy a gallon of milk. We know that the five, ask any homeowner, as Dr. Melissa will say, ask any homeowner, and these are the five components that you see in your tax bill, which is the school, the municipal government, the library, county, and open space. Each one of those contributes to the bill that you receive at your home quarterly. Now, we know that the largest proportion right now at the tax bill is the municipal bill, which sits around about 60%. And one of our smallest is the library, which is about 0.045-ish. So what you see is that all these five components contribute to the tax bill that you receive at your home. So while the municipal government can say this year, if I'm correct, that there hasn't been a municipal government tax increase, but that doesn't include the other components that are on that bill. So when you have opponents go out there and saying that the taxes are going up, this and that, they have to clarify to the public that we're not talking about the municipality. But again, it comes down to what's going to serve the public the best. You need individuals that understands. When you go to an auto mechanic, you're not going to ask the individual that does plumbing to fix your car. You're going to ask that individual who's an expert in that trade to fix your car. And that's what the public deserves. Beautiful words only can take you so far. But we understand that the nit and gritty is in the books, is in what we do in the ordinances, our resolutions, and how we craft a budget and how we ensure that the public gets the breaks that it deserves. And that doesn't just mean giving easy words to everybody. It would be incredibly easy for me just to give you the answers that you deserve to hear. But we know that hard work is necessary for us to make sure that everyone in this community, not just the fortunate few, but everyone wins. And the way everyone wins is that you have credible, intelligent, soft-spoken if necessary, but passionate individuals that will make sure that the public gets served. And empty rhetoric can only take you so far, because I'll tell you this, my child, I had to take her to a pediatrician. And there's an individual that says, well, you know, why take it to a pediatrician? You can just take care of it at home, or you can do something else. Well, I am not the expert in that field. And that is why, if I'm going to take my child to the pediatrician, I will make sure that the individual that I elect to the council knows what they're doing. Thank you. Gilman Chaudhry, 7B.
Okay, that concludes my questions.
If you asked a,
Yeah, I'm not going to ask your question.
okay, thank you. Thank you, Councilman.
Okay?
All right.
Thank you very much.
All right, Mr. Lees, since the councilwoman chooses not to ask you a question, I will pose a question to you that we received from the press. Just give me a second. Actually, did not have one for you there. Let's check here. Mr. Lees, this question is coming from Jay from the Paterson Times. Paterson's murder rate in 2020 and 2021 have been the highest in 3 decades. What should the city do to tackle increasing homicides?
Wow, that's a great question. We indeed need better police presence. Like I indicated before and I stated before, I live in not the best, but one of the most secure areas in Paterson. I'll state it that way. And the second ward, we have an issue with police presence. I mean, I'll be honest with you, there was a big accident where there was a person that even died in a car accident right in the corner from my house, and it took them 2 hours to get there. That is totally unacceptable. You know, we pay high taxes. I mean, I pay $11,000 for a one-family home in Paterson to not get the services that I deserve. And that's not about me. That's about the Paterson community in general. We are left behind. I know that I was looking through the budget briefly, and I did see that the police department does get, there was a huge increase within the budget for the police department, but then we have less police presence, less police officers. I don't get it. Unfortunately, in the outside, there's not much I can do. Inside, I can probably I can not only come together with the team or the board itself, the administration, and think of a better plan to not only have better security out there and throw out more police presence. We need police patrolling the areas. We don't need police officers, no offense to anybody, sitting behind a desk, waiting for something, a phone call, or waiting for anything. We need people out there. We need people, police officers representing us as residents. We deserve it. We pay high taxes. We are in the 100 crime list, which is sad to say. I know that we bettered somewhat in the list, and we have, and I'll give that credit, but we're still in the list, and we don't deserve it, Like the council president Maritza indicated before, our city is in the list, and we are doing better, but we need to get off that list. As a Paterson resident, I plan to come together and make sure that if we have a certain amount of funds within the budget for the police department, they're working for their money. And this is why one of my ideas will be probably working with people. We're bringing in more police officers that live in Paterson so they can care for Paterson more. I'm not saying that the outsiders don't care. Don't get me wrong. My personal opinion, if we bring in Paterson people or Paterson police officers that live in Paterson, they'll have a better passion for their city because they will want to see the city move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. DeLeese. And it's now your opportunity to ask questions of the various candidates. Again, as a reminder, you have an opportunity to ask each of the candidates 2 questions. They will have 3 minutes in which to respond. Please, the floor is yours.
Let me just remind the Paterson residents that my name is Sonia DeLeese, and I am 9B in your ballot. I only have one question, and that question will go to Melissa Baralt. What is the component that the municipal has control over?
The component that the municipal, as in the open tax, as in how the tax bill is, the tax breakdown. The component that the municipal has control over is the county tax. They control up to, the municipal component is up to 60%. It's the highest in the breakdown of how the tax property and tax bill is distributed. Thank you.
That's it. I have no further questions.
You have no further questions of any of the other candidates. Thank you,
Yes,
Ms.
you're very
DeLeese.
welcome.
Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, I will then pose questions to each of you who have not yet had an opportunity to be asked a question that has come from the local press. I will begin with Jace Abreu. This question is from Joe Melanconico of the Paterson Press. Do you agree with the common practice in Paterson of not going to trial on most liability lawsuits against the city by settling them and making payments to the people who filed the lawsuits?
Thank you for the question, Councilman. No, I don't agree with that. I think the city and everybody should know where's the money being spent, where we're spending the money, or the taxpayers, where they're spending their money and where their money's going. Because as we know, our city gets sued. I mean, it's like every day. And a lot of people doesn't know that. A lot of people think that the city is just overspending money and other things. We get a lot of we get a lot of people to sue the city. for mistake that the administration or the city makes. You know, I'm not pointing fingers. I'm not pointing at the administration, but we get sued a lot, and we, as a city, we should know. We have to know where our money is being it's going. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Abreu. Mr. Chowdhury, this question is also from Joe Melanconico of the Paterson Press. Do you support or oppose the proposal to shift responsibility for East Side and West Side parks to Passaic County Commissioners so that the parks could be better maintained?
Excellent question. And I want to say that while I was councilman, I co-sponsored the legislation for that opportunity for us to start the conversation. So people of Paterson, let me say this first. We understand the value parks, recreation has on our children. We understand not just for the children, but its impact on the entire family dynamic. I, for one, take my children to outside parks because sometimes it is difficult for us to find appropriate parking, and we have difficult situations that are happening in our parks. And though we have made great strides in improving our parks, taking opportunities for us to build our parks from the ground up, parks around the county system in some ways are far superior than the ones we have here. Now, I, for one, saw that there was I believe, Councilman Morris, you were part of that as well, while you were on council, that an audit was done to determine how Paterson can handle its parks better. And in that assessment, they made the determination that by giving up our two largest parks to the county system, the city of Paterson will be able to consolidate their resources and focus on the over 40 parks that we have under our command. Now, you go to Newark. Newark has 7 parks within their county system. Paterson has 0. Garrett Mountain, which I have gone since I was a little child, I assumed that it was a Paterson park, but as I grew older from high school, I realized it wasn't. Paterson has 0 county parks. So what we have to do is how can we efficiently, without burdening additional money on the taxpayer, increase access to our parks? Go to Dundee Park in Passaic, go to Garrett Mountain, go to Rifle Camp, go to the numerous parks that the county system runs with staff members, with sheriff officers, with park attendants, and see how those parks are run. And our DPW do a fantastic, amazing job with the resources they have. And we know with the acceleration of resources, they will do better. But by making the 2 largest parks in our system into county parks, we can allocate those resources to our smaller parks to be more efficient. But our county park system, if we are the seat of Passaic County government, if we are where all the services for Passaic County is being held, then we have a responsibility to make sure how can we relay or build our collaborative relationship with Passaic County government. And that is by making sure we have access to one of our parks. Now, I don't mean just giving them up without community town hall meetings, without surveys, without conversations. City Bike program in New York City had 1,100 meetings before they even installed one city bike. We have to do the same here for the city of Paterson, have a forum continuously in multiple languages, discuss what you want in the park, what do you vision? I myself have a big vision what I want for the parks, but I know the people, we have to listen to them exactly what they want. And this is gonna expand services, expand recreation, improve our parks, and improve the dignity of one of the oldest cities in New Jersey. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chowdhury. Council President Davila, this question is also from Joe of the Paterson Press. How would you assess the Sayers administration's response to the record-breaking rise in homicides the past 2 years?
So, how would I respond to the administration's response? Is that correct?
That's correct.
So everyone knows that, I have been a major critic at one point with the current administration because I felt that there was a need for more. And so I think that there's more to be done. I've had many conversations, and I started by saying a major critic because I don't want people indicating here that I am a cheerleader for the administration, for the mayor, but I'm not blind. I'm not blind to see that within this administration, there's still more to be done. And the fact that I've been given this opportunity this last year to sit down with the administration and discuss how important public safety is and what's going on within the department itself. I mean, come on, we had a chief leave, we had another one appointed, we have a 2-year pandemic that hit us bad. I mean, mental health is majorly, I mean, it's always been there, but now I believe that within this pandemic, it's been highlighted even more. And I can just talk from a personal experience of what's going on in my home and with my family. And so, unfortunately, depression, anxiety, panic, has brought some of, unfortunately, the rise on some of these homicides. And I feel that the administration currently has not been as aggressive as they should be. But I believe and that this administration, along with this council, we are going to make sure, because I, believe it or not, I have a plan. And I think that that plan, although that is not my role as a council person, but the fact that I'm able to sit down and at least work together on behalf of the council, right, and bring other council members as well, I know that we together, because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, coming to the middle, the administration with the governing body working together to make Paterson a better place. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Before we move on to closing statements, again, the YouTube version of this conversation will be made available in full later today for those of you who may have missed the beginning, particularly the well-articulated opening statements of the candidates here this afternoon. I also want to applaud each and every one of you for stepping forward in your willingness to serve the citizens of Paterson. It's a difficult task, so you should be applauded for being willing to take on that task. Also, as a reminder, there is in-person early voting in the city of Paterson, beginning Friday, May 6th, and ending on Sunday, May 8th for the municipal 10th election. Friday and Saturday, the hours are 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., and on Sunday, the hours are 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. There are 2 locations in which this can occur. The Paterson Fire Department, located at 300 McBride Avenue in Paterson, as well as the Islamic Center of Passaic County, located at 152 Durham Avenue in Paterson. As we move on to closing statements, again, I want to thank Jesus Abreu, the candidate for change, ballot position 3B. I also want to thank Sonia Diaz, your voice for a positive change, ballot position 9B. And we also have running on a ticket the following under the saying consistency matters. Current Council President Marissa Davila, ballot position 6B, Gilman Chowdhury, ballot position 7B, and Melissa Barak, ballot position 8B. We will now begin with our closing statements, beginning with Ms. Sonia Delis.
Thank you very much. Once again, my name is Sonia Delis, and I am 9B in your ballot. Well, back in 2020, we had a budget of about 143 million. In 2021, we have a budget of 268 million, a difference of about 123 million. The budget has increased, and the quality of life for us continues to decline tremendously. Like I stated before, we are within the 100 crime list. Regardless of the rank we hit, we are on the list. And I would wish and hope that one day we no longer see Paterson in that list. The crimes have hit our streets as if it was a norm in our city. We have business owners being robbed in broad daylight. People take control of your business that you so hard work for any time of day. They come in and out and they please in your businesses. I have never seen so much filth in our city, unfortunately. Our streets are like driving on a roller coaster ride. The streets are deteriorating. Residents talk about moving out of Paterson and how embarrassed they are to tell friends or families that they live in Paterson. That's not what we want. That is definitely not what we want to hear. Our city has a huge potential, and I say it with my heart. And I know that if we come together as residents and community leaders, we can make that change. We can move our city forward. I am willing to work with you and for you. To the Jesus family, we can't leave you out of this conversation. I am so sorry that you are going through this. No one should ever go through this situation. Finally, our community is separated, and we need to start bringing the community together. My name is Sonia DeLise, and I am 9B on your ballot. I will be your voice for a positive change. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. DeLise. Council President?
So, I'm Maritza Davila. I am 6B on your ballot. I want to say thank you to everyone here that is on this dais. I want to thank also Madam Clerk, as there's always, rhetoric out there on, the plan, the conspiracy plan, that I planned this today. I planned the questions, and I gave them to Councilman Morris. But I want to thank you, because you are the one who put the form together. And if you all can see, it is by alphabetical order, which, as we sit in the council, it's the same way. So I want to thank you. I wanted to clarify that. If I decided to run on consistency matters and run with two individuals, I think today you could see the reason why. Nothing against those others that are running or that currently are sitting in the seat. But I have to be able, in order to move the city forward, I have to be able to have like-minded individuals that truly do care about the city of Paterson, and that it isn't an I, that everything is an I. It is a city of we. We can do this. I've always made statements about anything that gets done. When someone says to you, I did this, that is not true. You need 5 individuals to pass resolutions, and depending on what, bonding, 6. So no one does anything together. You saw here today, consistency matters. I'd like to be given the opportunity once again to be here for another term. I believe that there's more work to be done. I love the work that I do. I love the people that I represent, and it's all about diversity. This chambers is the people's house, and I welcome anyone to come here as they do every Tuesday through workshops or a regular. Thank you so much. Maritza Davila, 6B, Consistency Matters.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Mr. Chowdhury.
Thank you, Councilman Morris. Let me first take this opportunity to thank the city clerk, her entire team, for putting this together. We know that the work you do behind doesn't go unnoticed by us, but we want to take this opportunity to thank you for the work you do, from the late nights, copies, papers, ordinances, and rules. All those things you do for us makes the city better, and we thank you. I want to take this opportunity now to say this. The city of Paterson is a city of multiple stories, different ethnic and cultural groups, all living in a harmonious opportunity for themselves, for their families, and for a better future. Here on this platform, we were able to give you who we are. We were able to explain from the basic details to the entire stories of where our passion really lies. The slate I'm on, which is Consistency Matters, believes not only in the innate spirit of the human individual, but believes in the full potential of this city. We are, more than ever, called to serve beyond ourselves, to do what we can for this city. The families that are watching this on live and the TV channel are hoping that the individuals will make the best decision, are hoping that there are people in their corner. And for everyone that is working from shift work, taking their children to school, buying groceries, and doing all the necessities of life, know that we're here on your corner, that Council President Maritza Davila, Gilman Chaudhry, and Dr. Melissa Burrell are here for you, the people. And as I say this before I end my closure, I do this not only for everyone here, but for my children. They deserve a world, they deserve a community that is built for them. And if I can accomplish that, then every child, man, woman, and child that lives in this city will have that same opportunity. Thank you. Gilman Chaudhry, 7B, Consistency Matters.
Thank you, Mr. Chaudhry. Ms. Barra.
Hello, City of Paterson. Thank you so much, Councilman Morris and the clerk's office, for all of your help and work. We really appreciate everything you do for us. And I just want to say, the beauty of things is that you can always know when you can make things better. And I'd like to take the opportunity to humbly ask for your vote. I know that if I'm on the council, I will be able to make decisions to help the city of Paterson, including the open tax decision, which I know the council function is that of the municipal portion. And I'd like to ask for forgiveness for my oversight in my answer before. And the beauty of all of us is that we invest in the power of potential in our city. The power of potential in our city. We know that we can do much, and invested in the potential, we can help the youth, we can help young people get back to work, really be engaged, the community really come together as one to really work on what really matters for all residents, because we all bleed the same. It does not matter what you look like. It does not matter what ward you live in. We need equal representation. We need inclusivity. And we need decisions that really help us to make better outcomes for all of our children. And that's all of your children and all of my children and everyone that we serve in this great city. I look forward to serving on the council. I thank everyone who's believed in me, opened their doors and their hearts to the possibility of me serving on the dais. Thank you to all who watched, and I look forward to the outcome on May 10th. 678 Consistency Matters. God bless.
Thank you, Ms. Barat. Mr. Abreu.
Thank you. I want to first thank God for allowing all of us to be here today. And I also want to thank the clerk office and yourself, Mr. Councilman Morris. Thank you for this debate. Which is very nice. We all love this. But Paterson, my name is Jay Zabreu, and 3B on the ballot. As you know, you live here in the city. You see everything that is going on. It's concerning to all of us. Talking to you, knocking on your doors, talking to you, or catching you on the streets, going to supermarkets or barbershops. Anywhere in the city, all I hear is complain about how high crime is, how high taxes, how our street looks, how our city looks, how embarrassed you are for living in the city. I think we could change all of that, Paterson. We could change that. Electing the right people to do the job, not just to come here and sounding nice, giving a beautiful speech. That's nice. Yeah, we all love that. But the reality is that we need a change. Our city, it's drowning in crimes. Our city's being bad. We're losing our youth. I believe in having a better plan for our youth. I believe in better recreation, or bringing back recreation, because we don't have it. We have to bring back. We have to unite with school board and leave the school open after 3 o'clock. I believe we could do that. I believe we could talk to administration and talk to the school board, and we could do that because, our parents here, they work hard. As I stated earlier, I said that we work 2 or 3 jobs myself. I include that on that. They come out 6, 7 o'clock at night, and your kids are on the streets because they have nothing else to do. So please, Paterson, pay attention to what you're voting. Do your homework. My name is Jay Zabreu, 3B on the ballot. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, we'd like to thank you for joining us this afternoon for this Council at Large Candidates Forum. You have heard a wealth of information, and we hope, based on the information you have heard here this afternoon, that you make an informed decision. As I had said earlier, every one of these individuals needs to be applauded for stepping up in their willingness to serve you, the people of Paterson. I also like to take this time to thank Madam Clerk and the Paterson City Council for putting this forum on, and I would now ask Madam Clerk to introduce our timekeepers.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator, and thank you very much. So as you could see, I am assisting with keeping the time. I'm the clerk, city clerk. And I also have Jacqueline Murray, my assistant, deputy city clerk, and Jennifer Sajak, who's assisting with keeping the time. And thanks, both of you.
Please join us for the conversation with our next group of candidates to begin in the next few minutes. That's candidate Mark Fisher, candidate Casey Melvin, Councilwoman Lilisa Mims, candidate Juan Mitch Santiago, and candidate MD Fored Uden. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. Wrap-up party at Councilman Morris's house. He has an awesome backyard. Oh, I saw the pictures.